So I'm going to be recording the Unit 7 study guide, and I'm probably going to do one video per page maybe, or I'll figure it out as I go. Remember that if you have a parent signature, you'll get 5 extra points on your test. So let's begin. The first one says solve the following inequality and graph its solution. The first thing you should remember is that it says x minus 5.3, and we always want to get x by itself. And so we need to think, what's the opposite of minus 5.3? Ideally, you would have said plus 5.3. So I'm going to add 5.3 on both sides. And so minus 5.3 plus 5.3 will always cancel out and leave us 0. Sorry, x. And then we have 2 plus 5.3. So we're going to do 2. Please don't forget that there's a decimal, an invisible decimal after the 2. Plus 5.3, and you should get 7.3. The only time you flip the inequality is if you multiply or divide by a negative number. And because we didn't multiply or divide by a negative number, we would keep the sign and have 7 is less than or equal to 7.3. Sorry, x is less than 7.3, less than or equal to. So what I'm going to do is have 7, 8, and 9 over here. And then have 6 and 5 over here. Let's think about where 7.3 would be. I know 7 is here and 8 is here. So halfway would be about here, but that's 7.5. So I'm going to put my circle right about here. I know that because it has the or equal to sign, that it's going to be a closed circle. And then I know that its x is less than or equal to 7.3. So I need to think of numbers that are less than or equal to. So is 6 less than or equal to 7.3? Yes. Is 9 less than or equal to 7.3? Probably not. So I know my arrow is going to the left. This is actually a very similar problem. Got to do the opposite of subtracting by 7.4, so I need to add by 7.4 on both sides. Similarly, this has a whole number. So I need to remember that's 5.0 plus 7.4. And then I know that 7 plus 5 should give us 12. And we have 12.4. Again, we should just bring down the inequality because we did not multiply or divide by a negative number. So on this side, I'm just going to write opposite of adding is subtracting, subtracting is adding, multiplying is dividing, and dividing is multiplying. That way I remember. Then I'm going to write my number line. And let's look. I know it's 12.4, and again, I know the half would be right about here, but it's a little bit less than half, so I'm going to put my circle right here. I know it's a closed circle because it has the or equal to. And again, we're looking at numbers that are less than or equal to 12.4. So I know that 10 is less than or equal to, I know that 10 is less than or equal to 12.4, but I know 14 is not less than or equal to 12.4. Therefore, my arrow is going to go to the left. So, this is solve the following inequality and graph its solution. We got 12.4 times x is greater than 2.4x. So remember, if we have a number and a variable right next to each other, it means we multiply. And the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I have to divide both sides by, you guessed it, 2.4. So I'm going to do 12 divided by 2.4. And this is special because we have a decimal. We can't divide that. So we got to do the swoop thing. If you don't remember that, we learned it last semester. It was like the second thing we learned, I think. But we got to go swoop, there it is. And then remember the invisible decimal. So we go swoop, there it is. And we should have 24 divided by 120 now. And if you do all the math, you should find out that if you multiply by 5, you get your answer. So this cancels out, and I have x is greater than or equal to, and I was going to do 5. So that's how we got our answer. have a little bit on the left a little bit on the right. And we know our circle is open because, you know, it has it's just the greater than sign. There is no or equal to part. And then let's look, is 3 greater than 5? I hope not. And then 7 is greater than 5, which is why I know my arrow should be going to the right. Now we have this, solve the following inequality. Again, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. 9 divided by 1.5, I gotta go swoop, And again, if you did the math, it actually goes in 6 times. So I'm going to have an open circle, and this is going to be x is greater than 6. And so I know that 4 is not greater than 6, but 8 is greater than 6. I just picked a random number, by the way. And then so I know my arrow is going to be going to the right. Over here it says Red Oak School, but took buses home. I know that there's 2,500 students each week. I also know that one bus can only hold 50 students. And so we need to figure out how many buses we need to take it home. So I immediately know that there can be an or equal to part because we have to know, like, there has to be an exact number at some point. But let's think about it. Do you think it's going to be less than the capacity? Should we have less buses than we need or more buses than we need? And if you picked more than, you are absolutely correct. So that's how we got 50b is greater than or equal to 250. Okay, these are kind of tricky, so let's think about this. Ashley saved $250 for a new computer, okay? So she got $100 from her grandpa. So basically, if you saved up this much money for a computer, and then someone kind of gave you money, that's good because now you have less to save. Does that make sense? You're spending less because you got this much more money. And so because you're spending less, we know we're subtracting. In this case, we're spending exactly $100 less. And so I know this is the price of the bike that she can afford. This is how much she can afford. This is how much she got. And this is how much she has. So let's think about this, okay? Should she have, let's cross off A and D because of plus signs, and let's look at B and C. Well, should she spend more than what she has? Probably not, because she doesn't have, the money to do it. So she should spend less than or equal to, which is why the answer would be C. Same thing here. If we had afford, got, and then has, C is the price of car that they can afford. This person apparently got $1,000. And then he has 2,550. So because I have this, I know that A is off the menu and D is off the menu. And just like I said before, we should probably spend less than or equal to the amount of money we have. Because if we spend more than what we have, you can't. You don't have the money to spend. Write a word problem. I'd probably say I had this much cookies and I got 2.5 more, but I knew that I can't have more than 25 cookies. So how many can I have? That'd be a great word problem. On the test, basically what's going to happen is that they're going to give you this, and they're going to give you, oh, A is this, B is this, C is this, and you have to figure out which one matches. Same thing with this one. It's just trying to see which scenario matches this situation. Okay, I think I might pause the video for now and then stay tuned for the next one.